Today on the channel, we're going to take a look at my Gibson Les Paul collection. Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to share with you my Gibson Les Paul collection. Over the last 2 or 3 years I've been asked quite a few times, why don't you share your Gibsons with us, show us your Les Paul collection, and I've always shied away from it because I'm not the kind of person where I want a video to seem like I'm bragging about something or showboating, right? And that's not what this video is intended for. It's really just for content, to have fun and talk about guitars. You may love Gibsons, you may hate Gibsons. I love Gibson Les Pauls. They're one of my favorite guitars, obviously. And, I want to share that on my channel and we'll talk about them. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I'll do my best to give you some historical information on each one. Since 1992, I've lived in Nashville, Tennessee. I moved here straight out of college, and I moved here with a pickup truck, $300, and a Gibson Les Paul Studio. All these years later, that Gibson Les Paul Studio has been long gone. It was stolen, and I've been fortunate enough to work and slave and toil and just buy a bunch of guitars, and Les Paul's being one of my favorites. That's one of the guitars I gravitate to. So without further ado, let's take a look at my collection and let's get going. Okay, the first one is my Custom Shop 2006 R8. This one is interesting because I like the piece of wood on the top here. It has this interesting pattern in it as opposed to this pattern. What I've heard is in the 50s they didn't really try to line up, book match things, so that's kind of typical for that era. This is an 06, as I stated earlier. It's really nice cherry sunburst. It's not quite a clownburst. This thing sounds really good. It's super hot. The pickups in this thing it's all stock, everything's original, and it's super hot, man. This thing really screams. It's quite heavy. This thing is about 9 pounds, maybe 8.9 pounds last I remember. I've got the original hard shell case with all my Les Pauls, but I'm not going to show them in this video. Very pretty guitar. I love playing this thing. It's so hot that sometimes if you're doing something kind of vintagey or something that is a little bit bluesy or that doesn't require as much high gain, I opt to use a different model than this one just because, for whatever reason, this one really kicks. It's a screamer. The prior owner put this Custom Shop plate on it, which was not original. I've got the original plastics in the hard shell case. This guitar is in mint condition. There's not a ding or a scratch on it, but it gets played quite a bit, but I take care of it. All right, let's take a look at the next one. Okay, this is a 2023 Custom Shop R8. I call this one Peaches. This is probably one of my top 3 guitars in my collection. I've owned Peaches for about a year now. Maybe a little less, probably about a year. But this guitar has a very, very special chirpy, chimey brilliance to it. And I absolutely love the way that it looks. I love the color. I love the grain. 58s are my favorite because I like larger necks. But the necks on the 58 feel just right. Some people think they're extremely bulky. They fit perfectly in my hand. This guitar is pretty much in mint shape as well. This gets played an awful lot. This is like one of those guitars in your collection. It's like your go-to model. You go to it all the time. It's just something about the feel of the neck and the way it plays. It stays in tune perfectly. I can't say enough good things about Peaches. It's out of tune right now, but, you know, what can you do? Okay, 2023 Custom Shop R8. On to the next. Okay, this is an ultra light aged Murphy Lab 2022 R8 Tobacco Burst. This is one of my top 3 guitars in my collection as well, as far as playability and tone. This thing has a tremendous amount of sustain and richness to the timbre and the tone. It's just unbelievable. I'm not really a Tobacco Burst fan, but when I played this guitar, I bought this thing used. I got an awesome deal on it. Did not get it new. None of my Les Pauls, well, I shouldn't say none, but only maybe 2 of my Les Pauls I bought new with trades. But this, I got a killer deal on it. There is some buckle rash on it. This is from me. That's not from the Murphy Lab, so that's just from me playing gigs with it. But there is some light checking on it. That's, you know, it's a Murphy Lab, so the light aged is not tremendous. You know, it's not, it doesn't really look like a relic guitar, so to speak. Not sure if the camera's picking up the lines on the neck, but the neck on this guitar, with the way that the nitro is kind of, you know, lined, it feels a little different, but it feels great. I love the way this neck feels. Being an R8, you know, a thicker neck, of course. Tremendous sounding and playing instrument. You could run this guitar over the truck and it would stay in tune. It's just tremendous. Okay, on to the next. Okay, this is a R9 Murphy Lab ultra light aged. This one I call the Reverend, and she is gorgeous. I bought this thing off of, well, I found it on Reverb, and I met a guy. He drove from a couple states away. I talked to him on the phone, and I wanted to see it in person, and of course it saved me a little bit of money, and it saved him money too, selling it personally, but I got a smoking deal on this. What's interesting about this guitar is obviously the Murphy Labs and the Gibsons are made in Nashville, Tennessee, and he's married to, this guy's married to a lady from Japan. She has family in Japan, and he bought this a few years ago in Japan and brought it back to his state. I think he was from Wisconsin or Missouri, can't remember. And then when I met him, I bought this. He drove closer to me, and now it's back in Nashville. So it was created in Nashville, it went to Japan, and it came back to the United States, and now it's back in Nashville where it's going to stay. I would say this guitar is in my top 5 or 6. My opinions change all the time. Sometimes it's top 3 as well. This guitar is very hot, similar to the very first R8 I showed in the video. Wonderful guitar, a little bit thinner neck than the R8s. Fantastic stability on this guitar. Having a little bit of trouble with this bridge pickup volume pot. It's wearing out. I got to replace that at some point. So, all right, well, on to the next. Okay, so this is my Murphy Lab R0. This is a 1960 ultra light aged Murphy. This one is kind of bright sounding, but full at the same time, but it's brighter than my other Murphy Labs. May have to do with the 1960s style pickups, the custom buckers they put in this. I'm not sure. All the Murphys sound similar, but they each have their own appeal. This has a very thin neck compared to the R8s and the R9s. This one is similar if you've seen Sunny, which is Kirk Hammett's 1960 that I believe is still in the Gibson garage. It looks very similar to that. So this one, I'm missing these things. True to Gibson, format. These things have fallen off this guitar. So, but you know what? It's ultra light age, and guitars are gonna like age naturally, and things are gonna start missing and fall off. So, every time something happens, like a little thing like that happens to my Murphy Labs, I'm like, well, it's just starting to age. I guess I make excuses for it. This one, over the last couple years since I've owned it, I've noticed that the nitro on this has been aging a little quicker than my other Murphy Labs. It's starting to show the lines quicker on it. So it's interesting. I noticed, on the neck, for instance, it's missing like a flake off of the nitro. I know Murphy was, there was a report a couple years ago about Murphy Labs doing that. And Murphy's Lab was like, that's normal, but, I'm starting to get it there. Doesn't feel bad. I got a little bit up there. That happened from being on a stand. Trying to pick up some of these lines in it. Guitar is aging like wonderful. It plays great. I love these things. The Murphys are my favorite. They're just so damn expensive. I want to get a Murphy Lab SG, like a 60s SG. Maybe I can sell some amps or something one day and pick one up at a good deal. But that's all of my Murphys. I've got 3 of them. I'm blessed to have 3 of them. Some people hate them. I love them. On to the next. Okay, so here's my 2020 gold top with P90s. I bought this, it was my friend Jamie Potterbombs. Jamie is a guitar player for Chris Cagle's band. Jamie loves gold tops. He's got several of them. And I got this was his, and it's a beautiful guitar. Every time I talk to Jamie, he's like, you still got that gold top I sold you? And I'm like, yeah, it's not for sale either. He's like, man, that's a good one. I got 3 of them. And I'm like, I know, you didn't need 3. I got one from you. But this was his. This thing's in mint shape. I play it fairly regularly. I'd say it's in mint shape. There's a little bit of there's a small little ding right there I can feel. I take really good care of my guitars, but I play the heck out of them. This thing sounds great. P90s aren't for everybody. I like them. You can do some really spanky rockabilly, gnarly rock with them. You can do country with them. You can play jazzy stuff. I love gold tops. Being a Tom Schultz fan, I always wanted a gold top. I'd love to get one of the Tom Schultz Gibsons, but those things are astronomically expensive. Crazy. But yeah, 2020 gold top with P90s. I love it. It's cool. And it plays fantastic. All right, on to the next. Okay, this is my 2019 1960s Les Paul Standard. This is when Gibson released, they did a 59 and they did a 60s reissue. And the pick guard on this thing is in the hard shell case. I take the pick guards off of these because I think they just look so nice. I didn't want to cover up the beautiful flame. This is one of the prettiest guitars that I own. It's not Murphy Lab, it's not anything special. It's just beautiful, and it's got the 60s pickups that they put in it when they made it. It's not missing any of the silver tops on the pots or the knobs. Everything stayed together well on this one. It's got the kidney bean style Gibson chrome tuners. Trapezoid inlays, of course, just your typical standard. It sounds tremendous. This guitar is in mint condition. I don't play it that much because I prefer my Murphys over everything. And I've got a custom that I like that I'll be showing you here in just a minute that I play quite a bit. But yeah, it's a 2019. This is like a COVID year guitar. I remember I got it in 2020. Back when these things were new, back when Gibson changed CEOs, I think you could get these things for like $2,200. Of course, I worked out a trade. Got this one from Guitar Center, actually, right off the wall. It was the only one they had near me. All right, so the 2020 well, 2019, 1960s standard. On to the next. Okay, here's my 2001 standard. This one's nice. It's got kind of a chevron pattern with the matching flame top. She's gorgeous. I've got a set of tone-specific bloom buckers that I put in this guitar. I used to do demos and do some promotional work for tone-specific, which are really nice pickups. But I put the set of bloom buckers in this thing, and they are so good. I believe it had 498, 496s in it prior, but the bloom buckers sound killer. This one's seen a lot of action, but it's in mint shape. This thing is in really, really good condition. Frets are still great on it. It stays in tune well. It's dusty. I don't play this thing as much as I used to. I played a bunch of shows with this, and it's seen action, but I don't play it as much as some of my other ones. It's very heavy. This guitar probably weighs 9.5, 9.3 pounds. It's a hefty girl. It's a good piece of wood. Very pretty top. Okay, on to the next. All right, here is my wine red 2002 custom. It's got a set of zebra Burstbucker 1 and Burstbucker 2s in it. So I installed those. It did have 57 classics, but I wanted these Burstbuckers in this for a little bit different flavor. Got this thing used a long time ago. This thing has seen a lot of action. It's kind of close to mint condition. There's like, where is it? There's like some chips out of it and stuff. So a little bit. I think that's pretty much it as far as damage that I remember. But it's an 02, so I mean this thing has seen some battle. It's played a bunch of shows. It's pretty heavy being a custom. It's got 2 maple caps on it, obviously. I love the red. It's really an eye catcher. Not really a fan of gold, hardware on guitars. I like chrome. I think with the red, certain colors, I think, it looks good. Things out of tune. But yeah, it's like the Wino. It's like the Jerry Cantrell Wino in a way. Really dig this guitar. Super heavy sounding. Heavy and crunchy at the same time. But yeah, 02 Les Paul Custom. On to the next. And the last guitar. Okay, the last guitar in the video. This one holds very often the #1 slot in my entire collection. It just depends on my mood. But this thing is wicked. It is a 1981 Les Paul Custom. It's got all the original components. It's been through the ringer. You can see it's had a lot of wear and tear, but I love it. And it's a Norland era where they did chrome hardware. Norland did some weird things with the chrome hardware. If you take a look at the tuners on this, it's got the vintage style flip out tuners. They have the little tuning winders on them. And that's interesting, It's one of those things that Gibson did for a while. But you don't have to use them, but it makes like a little crank so you can tune the guitar. I guess that was like before robot tuners. This one's got a little bit of fret damage. Not fret damage, but one of the blocks, this block right there, that block's got a little chunk missing out of it. And obviously it's seen better days. It's an 81, so this thing's quite old. The binding on it is yellowing. I think it's beautiful. The back of it is quite rough. You can see it's, got its marks in the back of the neck. Maple neck, the Norlands played around with maple necks instead of mahoganies. And, this is all, been played thousands of times. It's been put through a lot. But man, it's heavy. I think this thing weighs 10 pounds easily, maybe just a little higher. And it screams. It's got 498, 496 pickups in it, and it smokes. All right, there you have it. 1981 Les Paul Custom. All right, so there you have it. That's my entire Gibson Les Paul collection. Hope that you enjoyed the video. For now, that's it. Unless I find another one that I just can't live without, then I've got to figure out what I'm going to trade and what I'm going to sell, how I'm going to make the deal happen. You know what it's like. If you're a guitar junkie like me, it's in your blood. It's in your system. You can't control yourself. And when you find that right guitar, you just got to make it happen. So for now, I'm not looking, but you never know what's on the horizon. Each week I do try to bring you new content, fresh ideas, lessons, guitar kit builds, tech tips, some of my adventures, you name it, whatever I think is interesting, and I really appreciate you watching the video today. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing, comment below, and as always, have a great day. Peace out.